the Zodiac Killer. Just saying the name makes people think it's a mystery that won't die. We know about the confirmed attacks, the people he definitely killed or tried to kill. But the true number, that's where things get blurry, and that's where the real horror sits for many. Did this guy kill more? Far more than the 5 we know he took? Were there more victims that police then or now just haven't linked to him? It's a question that bothers a lot of people. It's a question that has kept the case alive for decades. The official count is 5 dead, 2 wounded. But Zodiac himself said different numbers. He claimed more, much more. So was he just bragging, or was he telling a dark truth that's still out there, hidden in old files and unsolved cases? Think about it. The Zodiac started his confirmed attacks in late 1968. He sent letters and ciphers through the early 1970s, but then the letters stopped, or at least the confirmed ones did. Did he stop killing, or did he just stop writing? Most people who study killers will tell you serial killers rarely just stop. They might pause, they might change how they operate, but to just totally quit, it's rare. So the idea of more victims, unseen and uncredited, it feels like it fits with the type of monster he was. Let's quickly go over what we know for sure. The definite attacks. Because these are our anchors. These are what we compare everything else to. First, there was David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. It was December 20th, 1968, near Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. They were just high school sweethearts on a first date, pulled into a lover's lane spot. Someone pulled up behind them, forced them out, shot David in the head, Betty Lou in the back as she ran. This was the first, and brutal, seemingly random. Then, Darlene Ferrin and Mike McGough, July 4th, 1969, another lover's lane. Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo, not far from the first attack. Same pattern, a car pulls up, shots are fired, Darlene died, Mike was seriously hurt but lived. He gave a description of the shooter. And then, an hour later, a phone call. To the Vallejo police, a man claimed responsibility. He linked it to the Lake Herman Road murders. This was the first time he spoke to police. Next, Bryan Hartnell and Cecelia Shepard. September 27th, 1969, Lake Berryessa, a quiet, scenic spot. Zodiac didn't shoot them here. He tied them up. He wore a bizarre hooded costume with a crosshairs symbol on it. He stabbed them. Repeatedly. Cecelia died days later. Bryan miraculously survived. And on their car door, he wrote a message with the dates of his previous attacks. And a number by knife. And another call to police. This time to Napa. Finally, Paul Stine. It's October 11th, 1969. In San Francisco. A cab driver. Zodiac shot him in the head. This one was different. In a city, not a secluded spot. And Zodiac was seen. 2 teenagers saw him. They called police. But a mix-up in dispatch meant officers were looking for a black suspect, not a white one. Zodiac walked away, and he sent pieces of Stine's bloody shirt to the newspapers. This was his proof. His terror was now in the big city. Those are the confirmed ones. 5 dead. 2 survivors. But here's why people always look for more. The killer himself said so. His letters boasted. He wrote, "I have killed 7. Then I have killed 10. Then I have killed 12. And later, in the infamous bus bomb letter, he claimed 13. And even later, in a letter believed to be genuine, I am up to 17. His final number was 37. So, where do these numbers come from? Was he counting attempts that failed? Was he including cases that police never connected to him? Or was he just messing with everyone, playing games with the press and the police, making himself seem more powerful than he was? That's the core question when we talk about unconfirmed victims. One of the most talked about unconfirmed cases is Cheri Jo Bates. This happened in Riverside, California, October 30th, 1966. That's 2 years before the first confirmed Zodiac attack. Cheri Jo was a college student. She was at the Riverside City College Library. She left around 10 p.m. Someone disabled her car. When she went to get help, someone attacked her, stabbed her brutally, more than 40 times. Her throat was slashed. Now, why do people link this to Zodiac? It starts with letters. About a month after her murder, anonymous letters were sent to the Riverside Police, the local newspaper, and Cheri Jo's father. These letters were unsettling. They claimed responsibility for her death. They mocked the police. One was a typewritten note signed with a symbol similar to a Z. Another, handwritten, was known as the confession letter. It detailed the murder. It sounded like the killer was boasting. Then, in 1970, Zodiac sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle. In it, he wrote, "I shall no longer announce some of my killings. They shall look like routine robberies, sex crimes, acts of revenge." And then he mentioned a poem. A specific poem found at the Riverside City College Library in 1967. It was scrawled on a desktop. This poem, titled, sick of living unwilling to die, seemed to describe killing a girl and wanting to be caught. It had chilling lines like, she was young and beautiful, but now she is dead. And it was found in the very library. Cheri Jo Bates was last seen alive. Zodiac's letter seemed to link himself directly to this poem and therefore to the Bates murder. But here's the rub. The Riverside police had their own ideas about the Bates murder. They had a suspect. For years they didn't think it was Zodiac. The timeline is also tricky. That he started in a different area and moved north. Killers often evolve. Their methods change. Their boldness grows. So, it's not impossible he started with something less Zodiac-like then. The arguments for it being Zodiac are strong. The taunting letters, the specific reference to the desktop poem, the brutality of the stabbing, the mocking tone, it all sounds very Zodiac. But the lack of a direct Zodiac signature on the early Riverside letters and the time gap keep it from being a confirmed case. Many people, including some law enforcement, truly believe Cheri Jo Bates was his first victim. If that's true, it means he was active longer and started more brutally than the shootings. Another major unconfirmed incident is the Kathleen Johns kidnapping. This happened March 22nd, 1970. Kathleen Johns was driving with her infant daughter in her car. She was near Modesto. A car pulled up behind her, flashing its lights. The driver told her one of her tires was loose. He offered to fix it. He did, but then he loosened all the lug nuts. When she drove off, the wheel nearly came off. He offered her a ride to the next gas station. She got in, but he didn't take her to a gas station. He drove past it for hours, driving erratically, threatening her. She eventually managed to jump out of the car with her baby. She hid in a field for hours, then got help. The man then burned her car. She described her attacker as a white male, about 30, with dark hair, wearing glasses. This description matched the widely circulated sketches of Zodiac from the Paul Stine murder, and Zodiac took credit for it. In a letter dated July 26, 1970, he wrote, "I am the Zodiac, and I am in control of all things. I did not particularly like the cop that helped Mrs. Johns, so I shot him in the head with a .38. He also included a small, "My name is" cipher. Police did look into it. And there was a police officer shot in the head with a .38 in San Francisco a month before this letter. Richard Raditich, we'll get to him. This letter linked a confirmed event, Stine's murder details with a potential unconfirmed crime, Johns' kidnapping, and another potential unconfirmed murder, Radetich. So for Johns, the survivor's description matched. Zodiac claimed it. It happened in the right region during his active period. The MO, while not a murder, was a calculated act of terror and kidnapping, which fits his pattern of control and psychological torment. The arguments against it being Zodiac? Some minor discrepancies in the description over time. And the fact that he didn't kill her. But he tried to kill people before and failed. This could be another one of those. And sometimes killers change what they do. He might have been trying a new type of attack. Many investigators see the Johns kidnapping as highly probable, if not definitively Zodiac. It suggests a more personal, drawn-out form of torture rather than quick, decisive murder. It adds another layer to his depravity. Then there's Donna Lass. She was a nurse at the Sahara Tahoe Casino. She disappeared on September 6, 1970. Her car was found. Her apartment looked normal. She just vanished. And then, a Zodiac letter. March 22nd, 1971. It was a postcard with images from an advertisement for a resort. The resort was near Lake Tahoe. On the card, Zodiac had drawn a crosshair symbol. He wrote, "Peek through the pines, past Lake Tahoe, around in the snow, DL." And then 14, Donna Lass's initials were DL, her last name Lass means girl in some old languages. She disappeared near Lake Tahoe, and 14 could refer to his victim count or something else. This one is really cryptic. Did Zodiac just see a news report about a missing woman and decide to claim her? He was known for opportunism. Or did he actually kill her and hide the body? The fact that no body was ever found makes it hard to confirm. But the postcard's specific references, Pines, Lake Tahoe, Dartmouth, which was the street where the casino was located, and the initials make it awfully suspicious. If it was a bluff, it was a very specific one. If it was true, it means Zodiac expanded his hunting grounds. He went from the Bay Area to the Sierra Nevada mountains, and it means he was good at hiding bodies. The police have never definitively linked Lass's disappearance to Zodiac. There are theories that she may have just run off, or fallen victim to a different killer. But the Zodiac's direct, specific hints in the letter are hard to ignore. For some, this is another strong contender for an unconfirmed victim. It suggests a killer who was not just active, but also changing his methods, moving bodies, and perhaps going for an even more terrifying act, making someone disappear without a trace. What about other police officers? Zodiac often expressed hatred for police. In his letters, he threatened them, he threw bombs. He hinted at targeting officers. So the shooting of San Francisco police officer Richard Radetich on June 19, 1970 gets mentioned. And Radetich was sitting in his patrol car when he was shot in the head. He died. Zodiac claimed the Radetich murder in the Kathleen Johns letter. He specifically said, "I did not particularly like the cop that helped Mrs. Johns, so I shot him in the head with a .38. This letter, postmarked July 26, 1970, was after Radetich's murder. The timing is right. The method shot in the head is consistent with some of Zodiac's confirmed attacks. And he claimed it, but police never officially linked it to Zodiac. There was no physical evidence at the scene connecting him. The .38 caliber weapon used in Radetich's murder was common, so while Zodiac claimed it, it's not confirmed. It's another one where Zodiac's words are the main link, and Zodiac was a known liar. He liked to take credit for things he didn't do, but he also might have been telling the truth here. An attack on a police officer would be a huge escalation, a direct challenge, something Zodiac was prone to. Now, let's talk about some cases that predate Zodiac, but have elements that make people wonder. The Santa Barbara murders. Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards. June 4th, 1963. They were high school sweethearts. At a beach near Lompoc, California, they were tied up. Shot multiple times. The way they were found, the remote location, the double murder of a young couple. It reminds some people of Zodiac's earliest confirmed attacks. Then, in 1964, Johnny and Carolyn Swindle. Same kind of setup, tied up, shot, near a secluded beach. These cases are much earlier than Cheri Jo Bates, and definitely before Lake Herman Road. But the MO is similar: young couples, secluded spot, tied up, shot. Could this be Zodiac's very early work? Before he even had the name Zodiac, before he developed his letter-writing persona. Some people believe killers start small, or start with less distinctive methods, and then evolve into their signature crime. The problem with these Santa Barbara cases is the distance. Lompoc is quite a drive from the Bay Area. And there's no Zodiac letter, no direct claim, no specific symbol. It's purely based on circumstantial similarities in the crime itself. Without any other link, it's hard to make a strong case. But it remains in the minds of some who wonder about Zodiac's full scope. Let's think about the nature of these unconfirmed cases. What kind of evidence do we have? Mostly, it's circumstantial. We see similar patterns, secluded locations, young victims, specific types of weapons, stabbing or shooting, the element of surprise. Then there are Zodiac's own claims in his letters. These are a double-edged sword. He was a master manipulator. He wanted attention. He wanted fear. So, taking credit for everything, even things he didn't do, would serve his purpose. It would make him seem omnipresent, but he also provided details that only the killer would know in the confirmed cases. So, some of his claims might be true. Eyewitness accounts are also a problem. They are often vague. People under extreme stress don't always remember things perfectly. The descriptions varied across the confirmed cases, too. This makes it hard to use a description from an unconfirmed case to strongly link it to Zodiac. And then there's the biggest issue: lack of direct physical evidence. No DNA, no fingerprints, or at least none that link him definitively to these cases. In the 1960s and 70s, forensic science wasn't what it is today. Evidence wasn't collected or preserved with the same meticulousness. So, even if there was evidence, it might be lost or degraded. It's really hard to confirm any of these for a bunch of reasons. Time is a huge one. Decades have passed, witnesses die, memories fade, evidence is lost. And forensics, as I said, was limited. We didn't have the DNA technology we have now. Police resources were also spread thin. Different jurisdictions handled different cases. A murder in Riverside might not have immediately been compared to a murder in Vallejo until much later, if at all. And let's not forget Zodiac's own goal. He wanted confusion. He wanted to create a myth. He wanted to take credit for things to inflate his legend. He also wanted to hide, to disappear. So he might have been telling the truth about some of his claims, but never giving enough detail to confirm. Or he might have just been lying to add to the chaos, but there are also arguments against the idea of many more victims. Zodiac was a showman. He loved getting credit. If he killed 37 people, why wouldn't he provide more undeniable proof for more of them? Why would he keep his claims so vague for the majority of his supposed victims? The confirmed attacks have very distinct hallmarks. The letters, the ciphers, the specific taunts. If he killed many more, wouldn't more of them have these distinct hallmarks? Also, California in the 60s and 70s was a big place. There were other serial killers active. The state had a high murder rate. It's a sad fact, but many people were murdered and many cases went unsolved. It's easy to look at every unsolved murder with similar elements and say, Could it be Zodiac? But sometimes coincidence is just coincidence. Or it was, another killer. We have to be careful not to over-attribute every unsolved crime to one notorious figure. For example, the Zodiac claimed 37 victims. That's a massive number. It's very unlikely that he killed that many without more concrete links given his desire for fame. He might have counted a missed shot as a kill or an escape as a near kill that he rounded up. He might have just been picking numbers to scare people. Still, the lure of the unconfirmed is strong. It's human nature to want answers, to want justice for every victim. The idea that a killer got away with even more than we know, it fuels our fascination. It keeps true crime fans, amateur detectives, and even law enforcement digging. It keeps the case alive. It encourages new theories, new looks at old evidence. Each potential victim means another family searching for answers. So, are there more undiscovered Zodiac Killer victims? No one can say for sure, not with absolute certainty. Are there definitely more? We can't say that either, but is it possible? Absolutely. Very possible. The most likely ones, the ones that have the strongest arguments, are Cheri Jo Bates and the Kathleen Johns kidnapping. For Bates, the specific reference to the desktop poem in a later Zodiac letter is compelling. For Johns, the survivor's description, the MO, and Zodiac's direct claim in a letter make it hard to ignore. Donna Lass also has strong circumstantial links, mainly through Zodiac's cryptic postcard. Richard Redet's murder, while claimed by Zodiac, feels a bit less distinct in terms of evidence outside of that claim. The Santa Barbara cases are intriguing but feel like more of a stretch due to geography and time, without direct claims. The high numbers he claimed, like 17 or 37, are probably exaggerations. He likely used those numbers to terrify. But it's very reasonable to believe he killed more than the confirmed 5. Perhaps 1 or 2, maybe even a few more, that we just haven't been able to prove yet. These would be murders where he either left no trace or he simply chose not to send a letter for. Maybe he didn't want credit for every single one, maybe some were impulsive. The unconfirmed cases keep the Zodiac mystery deep and unsettling. They remind us that for every case we solve, there are many that remain open wounds. And it's a chilling thought that the monster who terrorized California might have taken more lives, disappeared into the night, and left behind an even larger trail of terror than we currently grasp. It's a reminder that justice isn't always served and some evils remain forever hidden, just out of reach.